Expectations fall again. Previously, Team USA was 54-2 in exhibition games, and now we've already reached that loss total in Vegas. Is it time to panic ahead of Tokyo? Damian Lillard led Team USA with 22 points. KD scored 17. Bradley Beal finished with 12. Here's Coach Pop.
You asked the same sort of question, the same family of question last time, where you assume things that are not true. When you just mentioned, blowing these teams out, that's never happened. So I don't know where you get that. Can I finish?
No, I mean,
can I finish?
You're saying that's not true. Your average mark.
Can I finish my statement?
Like 30 points a game. In those last two tournaments that I was talking.
Can I finish my statement? When you talk.
You just told me that it's not true, and I'm telling you your average mark.
Are you going to let me finish my statement or not? So you'll be quiet now while I talk, and then I'll listen to you. When you make statements about in the past just blowing out these other teams, number one, you give no respect to the other teams. And I talked to you last time about the same thing. We've had very close games against 4 or 5 countries in all these tournaments. So the good teams do not get blown out. There are certain games that might happen in one of the tournaments, in the World Championship, the Olympics, where somebody gets blown out. But in general, nobody's blowing anybody out for the good teams. So when you make a statement like that, it's like you assume that's what's going on. And that's incorrect.
Okay, things getting testy there with Coach Popovich. Stephen A., what is the problem with Team USA?
First of all, I don't think that was, I originally heard about Greg Popovich being testy. Mm-hmm. I actually don't think that was testy at all. I thought that was very, very respectful to the reporter. He's saying, let me finish my statement. And he's saying, you have reported things that I believe have been incorrect on numerous occasions. Let me speak, and then I'll listen to what you have to say. I actually thought that was one of Popovich's better moments.
I agree.
To be quite honest with you, I didn't think he was. I didn't find that to be testy.
Because he said, then I'll listen to you. Let me finish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me finish, and then I'll listen to you. Now, having said all of that, let's just call this what it is. KD, Damian Lillard, and the rest of these guys on that team, particularly the stars, but especially KD, even though he is a champion, a 2-time champion and the 2-time NBA Finals MVP, they're going to have to wake up and recognize the fact that you can end up being severely tarnished if this continues. Now, we all look at USA basketball, Team USA, Molly and Max, and we recognize something that has changed. Back in the day, in international play, the USA was a juggernaut, and they made you play their way. They were led by the stars, which is the point Max was making to his credit. Now, instead of forcing the Europeans to play their way, the Europeans have forced Team USA to play their way. That's why you got a roster filled with a bunch of shooters and no true big man presence. Your definition of a big man is Draymond Green and Bam Adebayo and Kevin Love. Okay? So understand they're forcing you to play their way now. And by playing their way, you're not looking too great at doing it. In the end, we're not going to dissect it that way. In the end, we're going to sit up there and say when LeBron was playing, they won. When D-Wade was playing, they won. When Kobe was playing, they won. Even though Kevin Durant was on those teams too. But because he's clearly the leader of this team, and Damian Lillard is a superstar player, if they continue to lose like this, you're going to look at them and you're going to say, what the hell happened?
What's the problem with Team USA? It's the same problem in college when you have the most talented team, but they're a bunch of one-and-dones, and they play a team of guys. Maybe none of them will be NBA stars, but some of them might be in NBA rotations, but they played together for 2-3 years. They're upperclassmen now. They've played together. They've committed to each other, to the team, and they have some talent. They have some real NBA-ish talent. They can beat a more talented team that hasn't played together for very long, that's not as committed or invested. That's why the upperclassmen of a mid-major, they can beat a one-and-done powerhouse sometimes. And that's what's happening right now. This is like a one-and-done powerhouse. And when the Team USA is constructed, when you have, let's say it was a team of Steph, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, and KD in the starting 5, then none of this stuff matters. Because at a certain point, you have so much talent, it's just not going to matter. Look at the Brooklyn Nets whenever they were almost healthy, right? But when you start to degrade that roster, and now it's not all MVP caliber players, it's MVP caliber players with all-stars and maybe some guys who are only sometimes all-stars. Now these guys have to be committed. The teams that Team USA are playing, Stephen A., by and large, have multiple players, a core of players who have multi-year commitments to their country's team, to their national team, who've played together for some time, and have a handful of guys who can make NBA rosters, who are on NBA rosters. Who was Durant blocked by last night? Thibault, clean block. He could do that in the NBA too. So yesterday, when we started, we said, is this roster a problem? I thought it was. Then yesterday, we asked, after the first loss to Nigeria, is this a problem? I said, not yet. Now we see it as a problem. 2 losses in a row, we see it's a problem. They played better, but not well enough, consistently enough throughout the game. They're playing teams who want it more. This is the biggest stage they'll ever play on. Most of the team isn't hoping to win an NBA title one day, like most of Team USA is. They want it more. They're more committed. They play together. They've been playing together longer. Either Team USA really starts to want it and commit to each other, or we got to send even better players than we're sending.
So is it want or talent?
Well, it's not about talent. I think it's the wanted. And I think think about it. When they lost, I think it was in 2004. I mean, as Larry Brown was coaching the team and what have you. And I mean, that was not a good thing. What was happening there was not a good thing with Iverson and the crew and LeBron and them all on the younger that they were on the squad, and they did not win. And then they felt the need to elevate the level of urgency and get, Mike Krzyzewski up in there. Jerry Colangelo became managing director, and obviously you picked the star-studded roster, and they went and represented not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive Olympics from 2008 to 2016. Now you've gone the way back to 2004. In other words, we're at the top of the heap. We don't need to have the, quote, creme de la creme in order to win the gold, which is something that I still maintain. See, I'm not talking, I'm assuming that you're incredibly committed. I'm saying that from a talent perspective, there should be no issue. I'm looking at the talent on this squad. You should be playing better. You should be more effective. And right now, if Kevin Durant, who is clearly the face and the leader of this squad, is associated with a collapse in Olympic play, particularly coming off of what just happened to Brooklyn, as spectacular as he was, we all know that. Kyrie gets hurt. If Kyrie isn't hurt, I believe they're in the finals right now. All right, James Harden, same thing. But that doesn't negate the shrapnel of criticism that inevitably is going to come his way, because people out there are going to look at him as the leader, and this is what happened on your watch.
I have a question, one thing with something you said, Stephen A. When you say it's us not playing the European way, what do you mean by that?
Well, what happens is that the style of play itself, I mean, some of the rules that have been implemented, the fact that they built this roster the way that they have, you've got 3-point shooters, you don't have a true bona fide big man in the middle, and that matters. If Joe, not that he's from America, but if Joel Embiid was on this roster or somebody like that, that would be different, because you'd have a big man presence to throw the ball to in the middle or whatever. But by having this roster assembled the way that you did, you basically said there's a style of play that they implement here, overseas, and we think that's the way to go. And it's not working for you.
When you think of all the best big men in the league, other than AD, who's like a 4-5, Embiid, not an American player. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Right, he wouldn't be playing for Team USA.
Not an American player.
Freak,
no, not American.
So is the sport becoming more global? Is that part of the issue? And it's not that we're putting out a bad product?
No, not a bad product. It just goes without saying the rest of the world has caught up. That's why now it requires us, if you want to be assured of a gold, even if they haven't played together a long time, Steph, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, KD would never not win every game. They're just not capable of not winning every game. But once you get any lower than the greatest team ever, you can lose. Because, think about it like this. Let's say you took an all-star team.
Yeah.
And not all starters, 3 starters and 2 reserves on an all-star team. And they played a team that didn't make the playoffs. But it's the middle of the season, and these guys haven't played together on the All-Star team even once. And the team that didn't make the playoffs has just played 40 games together. Right. Team that didn't make the playoffs might beat them. That's what's happening.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, listen, there's no real big man presence, like I said.
Yeah.
And devoid of the mega stars who have that intimidation factor going for them. You've put yourself in the eyes of these European players. You've put yourself on an even scale with them. And so they have no fear whatsoever. Do they respect Team USA? Of course they do. But they have no fear. And so when you realize they have no fear, and they're coming at you like, who the hell are you? This is who we are. That's where the big names on the roster are going to be held accountable when they come back to the States. If you're KD, you want to be mentioned in the same breath as LeBron and others. You don't want any question marks about that. Yeah. That's how this stuff works out.
If you also make the rules a little easier, like you bring in the three-point line a little bit, that makes everybody a better three-point shooter. Yeah. That favors, whenever you make things a little easier, it favors the less talented team because it makes the lesser players a little bit better. So there are a lot of marginal advantages that don't go for Team USA. And on top of that, these guys have played together and are committed.
Of course, and it's that everything to gain, nothing to lose attitude. I just want to say that when you mentioned like Steph, Harden, I think Kawhi, Kyrie, a lot of those guys dealt with injuries this season. So do we even really want to see them out there? No. That's the other question too.
For sure. What I mean is if you took our very best Team USA, even with everything we're talking about, they'd still win all the games because at a certain point there's just too much talent. That's not the team we sent.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Still to come, what team, this is a great question, will LeBron be most remembered for when it's all said and done, when he hangs it up? The Cavs, the Heat, or the Lakers? Wait till you hear the fellas answer that. Plus, next, we've got June Lee joining us to discuss Shohei Ohtani, his significance to baseball right now and for many years to come. Stay tuned for that.